Okay, so here we are at week number 7. Over the last 6 or 7 days, a lot of work has happened to this car. Phil from Fuelworks and Howard have had an enormous list of stuff they've got to work through, and we might just run through some of the stuff that we've achieved over the last few days. Obviously, the engine bay is starting to look very complete, and probably the biggest part of the build right now is for Phil to complete the fuel system, the brake lines, all the plumbing in the car, and it really is an enormous job. This will give you an idea of the amount of fittings that we pulled out of the car. So everything you see there is going to be replaced now in silver or black. We have a look down here, we've got new hose ready to be fitted, fuel lines. Phil tells me that he's not spending too much money, but I beg to differ. So it's quite an operation over here on the right, more lines and fittings that have come out of the car. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what a big job this is. And moving back up the front of the car, we can see a few more of the things that have been achieved this week. Obviously the EFI pump has been attached to the back of the header tank. That's the priming pump to start the engine on the car. The VH44 booster that once lived under the dash has now been remote mounted up behind the headlight. So it's right out of the way. It allows us to create more room under the dash to make things neater and tidier. And we've got brackets here to support the air conditioning lines. There'll be 4 fuel lines that run up to the front of the car, and brackets like this keep the lines safe and out of harm's way. Obviously, all this kind of stuff, the lines need to be mounted with the clamps so that once the car is painted, all we've got to do is reassemble with all the fittings that are already made. So last week we discussed shifter mounting in the car, and over the last few days we can see how this base plate has been mounted to the tunnel, and the shifter will be mounted roughly at this height here. So what we've done is we've constructed this piece in cardboard. It's a template of the platform that the shifter will sit on, and we'll have this made in aluminium, and that will be a really good looking base for the shifter. You can notice the holes that will punch in it, so it'll give it that real race car feel. If you look further around inside the car, under the dash, obviously EFI stuff, there's a lot of wiring here, and Brett Piltz from Custom Electrical and Air Conditioning in Wagga has taken care of all the wiring in the car, but this just gives you an idea of the complexities of running EFI in a car these days. Now, you can see here where the snorkel comes through from the engine bay and runs down into the back of this enormous intercooler. So the centre of this core is hollow, and in the back of the car we've got an ice tank, and it pumps water through the core, and what you've got inside there is basically a radiator. Air is pushed into the top of the intercooler by the supercharger. The cold water rushing through the core cools the air down, cold air rushes out the intake pipe and straight into the top of the manifold. It's very simple. This system works exceptionally well because there is a very short distance between where the intercooler is and where the engine is, so there's very minimal temperature loss. Moving back to the rear of the car here, this is the evaporator for the air conditioner. Now, because the car needs to meet ANDRA and NHRA specifications, this rear bulkhead section of the car needs to be totally sealed because there's fuel tanks in it. So in other words, in the event of a fire, you can't have any holes. What's happened now is that this entire condenser has been enclosed in aluminium so that in the event of a boot fire, we don't have any problems with flames coming into the cabin of the car. Moving back to the rear parcel shelf, this custom-made ring fits over the back shelf, and what this does is this allows the air to be drawn into the air conditioner through a speaker cover where it's chilled and then pushed into the cabin of the car. So it's very simple, but it will work extremely well. Moving back further, we discussed... Oh, there's Phil. How you going, Phil?
How you going, mate?
Okay, Phil, why don't you just run us through what's happened here over the last few days?
We've basically just been finishing mounting these tanks, so they're finished and side mounted. We've also put the 2 fuel filler necks, one for the race tank, one for the street tank. Basically, they're flush mounted to the body, so it looks all neat and almost stock looking. We've just got to finish basically dummy mounting up these. These are the 2 fuel pumps for the race side of the setup, and then this side is the street pump just for the street driving for the couple of thousand miles he's got to do in the US.
I guess, a lot of the time, Phil, goes into just mounting, the actual I guess putting it all together is really the simple part, but getting your head around how it's all going to be mounted, how the system will work, how the lines are going to run, that's really the big challenge.
Yeah, that's right. It's all the design, designing everything and making it all function, but yet still being easy to work on, to maintain, and also to look good at the end of the day. Like, it's going to have a bit of a show life, this car, as well. It's got a reasonably decent profile as it has in the past, so might as well continue that along. Hopefully maybe even grow its profile.